We got some troubling, but probably not, or at least hopefully not all that serious news here. Clarence Thomas has apparently been hospitalized since Friday, which isn't great because he's not a young man, but then at the same time, the report is it's not all that terribly serious. It's not COVID related. Oh my God, trust us. He just has flu-like symptoms. So clearly, if he has flu-like symptoms, it's clearly not COVID. But no, he's apparently supposed to be making a full and total recovery, which is terrific because when it comes to federal employees, there's nobody who I respect more than Clarence Thomas. So quick, speedy recovery, and we'll get into what the response has been to this in the next video because it's exactly what you anticipated to do. But anyways, I find this just a little bit funny. Confirmation hearing for Ketanji Brown Jackson. We went over one of her more controversial takes here recently. It's just weird. You have one of the most senior, I think he might be the most senior member of the Supreme Court, mysteriously fall ill, seemingly out of the blue, and you read some leftist outlets, or at least troll them for content every once in a while, and then you just start to see these little pieces about Clarence Thomas's wife pop up, and then all of a sudden he's in hospital. I don't think it's terribly serious. The reports are, like I said, flu-like symptoms. He's responding well. The symptoms are abating. He'll be all back in good health very soon, which is terrific. But the last time we heard that somebody was going in for one procedure and then ended up dead a couple of days later was Scott Hall. So hopefully it's a totally different situation, okay? And I don't wish that on anybody, and especially for somebody as important as Clarence Thomas. Not that he represents a conservative vote on the Supreme Court. It's just he has good takes, okay? He's a very principled man, so the world needs more of those. And yeah, now we got the fucking kid diddler sympathizer here going up in front of the Senate. And yeah, the confirmation hearings are ongoing at this point, and yeah, I'm probably not going to be doing one of the updates every single day unless something spicy pops up. But who knows, maybe Josh Hawley will be like, so if somebody has thousands of images of kid porn and that they've just have a little fucking sex dungeon with a couple of bouncy castles in there, what do you think should be done with them? How many bullets do you think are required? Hypothetically speaking, what have you wrote about before? Maybe he'll be talking about some shit like that. Maybe not. I'm not entirely sure. Maybe it's just a whole bunch of glad handing and everybody just standing up because you're black and you're female and this is so historic. I feel like I'm a part of history. Ugh. But like I said here, Senate hearings for Biden's SCOTUS nominee begin. Senate Judiciary Committee on Monday began confirmation hearings for Ketanji Brown Jackson, President Joe Biden's pick to replace the outgoing Stephen Breyer, who was, you know what, a couple months ago thinking, I'm not going to be retiring. And then all of a sudden, oh, guess what? We have a leaked story that says he is going to be retiring. Then he gets pissed off, and then he comes out the next day and he says, yeah, I'm going to retire. Ow, you can stop poking me now. As the week progresses, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle will delve deeper into Jackson's track record and judicial ideology, but much on Monday's session was consumed by introductory remarks and broad ideological statements, allowing members of both parties to speak before questioning begins. Yeah, a bunch of glad handing, and I was being at least hopefully a little bit hyperbolic, but I'd imagine it's probably something like historic females, blah blah blah, whatever. There's going to be 3 women on the Supreme Court, the same amount that there's ever been in history prior to this, blah blah. Oh, I guess 4. Sorry, all 3 of the liberals are going to be snatches, which is just very apropos of who's driving the thoughts in that party right now. Yeah, 4 women, 5 pussies, because John Roberts is there. During their opening statement, several Democrats referenced Jackson's potential to become the fuck off! Oh, Dick Durbin, of course, sucked himself dry. Not a single justice has been a black woman. You, Judge Jackson, can be the first. Yes, because there has been a black, but we don't like to talk about him, okay? On the Democratic side of this, listen, we tried some fucking sketchy tactics back when he was being confirmed, okay? And the less said about that, the better. And women, oh, the most recent one was a conservative, and so was the first one, but you can be the first black woman. See, the history. We're the party of history. Very damning history if you just, do a little bit of reading. It's not easy being the first. Durbin continued. Yes, because you were the first openly homosexual senator from Illinois. Oh, often you have to be the best, and you weren't. You're kind of an idiot, and most of your landmark decisions have been overturned in the courts. But regardless, in some ways, the bravest. Many are not prepared to face the kind of heat, the kind of scrutiny, the ordeal, and the glare of the national spotlight, which is going to be overwhelmingly effusive, because I remember the confirmation hearings, or at least hearing some of them for the previous, two Supreme Court nominees, Kavanaugh and ACB. Raise your hand if you think that this hearing is going to be anywhere near the type of grilling that those two people faced before. No, I don't see anybody out there. Smart crowd. If Jackson is confirmed, Durbin added, we will be confident that the court, its role, and the decisions will be more understandable to the American public. Feel free to read through some Supreme Court decisions and then try to find them logical at all. What is she going to write with crayon for most of the American public? Because that's their reading level. By no fault to them, the state of modern education is through the fucking floor. So maybe it'll be on, pressboard with markers. The appointment of the first black woman to the Supreme Court, let's be honest, that should have happened years ago. Dick Blumenthal. What's with all these dicks? Her nomination, Blumenthal added, is a giant leap to the president for our country. Yeah, whatever. Why, it's been a minute since it's had somebody appointed because they were the best in their field. Probably Gorsuch, because I'll just run it back here for a minute. Kavanaugh was only nominated because Kennedy retired, and he said that he just the only way that he'd go out on his own terms is if Kavanaugh was going to be his appointee. So Trump didn't have any say in that matter, and then ACB was the best woman available, so maybe not the best candidate available, but the best woman available. I still go with Barbara Lagoa, but hey, no use crying over spilt milk. Maybe there'll be an opportunity in 2-3 years at this point, something like that. And I don't wish anybody to retire, to anybody to go out and not on their own terms, unless of course it's Kagan or Sotomayor. Later, Senate President pro tempore Patrick Leahy muttered something into his soup, made much the same point, saying that Jackson was not a judicial activist. No, she's just kind of an idiot. Responding to the charges that Republicans are being unfair towards Jackson, they haven't said fuck all yet, except for Hawley, who pointed out that, her and kid porn is a very, salacious topic, to say the least. Reporting for the charges that the Republicans are being unfair, yes, Judiciary Ranking Member Chuck Grassley, who is as based as he is old, said, as for her district court record, there have been some accusations that we cherry-picked some of Judge Jackson's criminal cases. Well, she wasn't there for very long, so we just went through some of her decisions because there aren't very many to look at, so that's all we kind of did. Anyways, well, don't worry, we're going to talk about other cases as well, where you're equally as dim-witted. Referencing Jackson's track record, Senator John Cornyn said that while he understands the zealous advocacy that underlies the U.S. legal system, he has been concerned by some statements that Jackson has made advocating for terrorists and other dangerous criminals. Yeah, you go, establishment, John. You talk about those terrorists and Islamophiles and socialists and whatever the fuck else that's out there. Listen, okay, Jackson, she's not a radical, okay? Her position on child porn definitely is, but she's the neo-lib establishment pick, okay? She's not the activist who's out there, so anybody trying to say that she is horrifyingly misinformed. She's just kind of an idiot, really, if we're just fucking boiling it down. I've done a couple of videos on her, and I've been wholeheartedly underwhelmed. Like, we could just continue to go over opening remarks. Ted Cruz, when he's not yelling at people in the Montana airport, said that Democrats have undertaken an effort to use the Supreme Court to pass laws that they couldn't push through, the legislature. Take a look at same-sex marriage. Exactly. But regardless, what are some questions that they should be asking her over the next couple of weeks, the week at least? Does she believe current penalties for sex offenders are too harsh? Senator Josh Hawley released a list of Judge Jackson's opinions, writings, and thoughts on the subject last week. Yeah, that wasn't cherry-picked. That was 5 examples of her going under the sentencing guideline for horrific crimes. Let's be fair. I don't think that there is any more single category of crime that is worse than anything that offends a child, and especially when it comes to child fucking. Anybody who does that, their penalty should be very, very simple, and they should have their choice, in fact. 40, 45 caliber, 50 caliber, just multiple rounds, whatever the fuck you want. That's just my opinion. And the thought, on the subject last week, and was immediately hit with so-called fact check. Oh my god, yes, the fact checkers, they come out in full force. Few of which could question his facts. Yeah, because he cited directly her writings on it, okay, and her decisions. So what do you fact check on that? Well, she's black, therefore immune from criticism. Okay. Judge Jackson needs to be asked directly why she handed down lenient sentences in some cases, and why she deemed open to reducing sentencing guidelines. Yeah, that should be number one with a bullet, especially for maps. What does Judge Jackson think of racial and gender criteria of her own nomination? Oh, very good. Hey, diversity hire, what do you think about that? What? Questions? Supreme Court has ruled that the kind of racial and gender discrimination that President Biden used to select her own is unconstitutional and used for most ordinary jobs. What does she think of that, and how does she make that distinction? Oh, well, I'm really smart, though. Okay, cool. Does Judge Jackson support critical race theory? Pretty important, but she's also worked in Washington for like the past 20 years, so it seems like a question that's unnecessary because everybody already knows the answer. So just 2 years ago, Jackson gave a speech at the University of Michigan Law School, which she cited Derek Bell, one of the founders of critical race theory, and as one of her major influences, and even citing his radical book, Faces at the Bottom of the Well. Oh, that's also the answer to the Jeopardy question, where do pedophiles belong? Does she agree with critical race theory that America is fundamentally racist? And then again, just circle back to, okay, if it's fundamentally racist, why exactly are you here? Anyways, these are questions that aren't going to get answered, but probably should. Does Judge Jackson agree with the 1619 Project that that America was founded on slavery? During her, a school speech, cited the 1619 Project, which is just a patent work of fiction. I don't even know what else to say at this point. That's what it is. It was made up by some radical retard with red fucking hair, and not like natural orange gingery hair. She's a black lady with dyed red hair. It's a work of fiction that rivals that of Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey, for fuck's sakes. It's equally as unreadable. Does Judge Jackson believe, as Black Lives Matter does, that police are guilty until proven innocent? At the same speech, wow, this must have been a dandy of a speech. They should just play this. If Republicans have the fucking balls of it, they should just get this as a law school speech and then just play it. Okay, Judge Jackson cited her favorite civil rights photograph of modern times, which was taken at a Black Lives Matter protest in 2016, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. The alleged victims in the case, who were killed by police, were both armed at the time, and officers involved were ultimately vindicated. Can she be fair towards law enforcement? Again, I don't know the picture. I wouldn't necessarily hold that against her. It's probably just a bunch of people of different colors and races and genders or whatever else just showed together in solidarity. It's probably a great picture. And even if it is somebody, I don't know, taking pot shots at a fucking pig balloon, I couldn't really care less. There's better things to hit him on, but I guess you got a top 10 list here and you need to pat it out a little bit. Does Judge Jackson believe abortion has a disproportionate impact on the black community? Do you understand statistics? She does believe that the court should remain at 9 justices. That's pretty important. That's pretty important. I'd love to hear thoughts on that, because that's something that the party itself, the Democratic Party, is divided on, to say the very least. Does she believe the Iran deal is constitutional if it avoids the Senate? Ooh, that's like some good policy decisions. That's a good question. Are liberal justices abusing the Chevron Doctrine? Aha! I've heard this brought up a couple of times. The seemingly obscure doctrine handed down in the court, Chevron USA v. NRDC case of 1984, is a major problem. It gives the executive branch the power to interpret legislative statute and requires the judiciary to defer to it. Yeah, but there's also another Supreme Court decision that also overrides Chevron in cases. These are both bad decisions anyways. Marbury v. Madison, I think it is, where it just basically gives the Supreme Court leverage to interpret any laws that it wants to, interpret any ruling in front of them, and they have extrajudicial jurisdiction to enforce whatever they want to. So I think that's the decision. I think that's what it is. But yes, Chevron and Madison just kind of run contrary to one another. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Depend on what the justices want to do, they can defer to either or rather. Some research has shown that while conservative judges stick to the rule as precedent, liberal justices are more likely to overturn conservative policies. Should the court therefore end the doctrine? And last but not least, can we have rule of law with an open border? No. Case closed. But I'm sure she'll probably give some roundabout answer on that. But hey, I'll be dipping into, not her, she's gross, into the proceedings from time to time. I'm not terribly excited to watch this because we already know what the answers are going to be at the end of the day. She's going to get confirmed 51, 50, give or take 1 or 2 votes in either direction. It really doesn't much matter. She's going to be the next Supreme Court justice unless there is a massive fuck up on her behalf or the Republicans grow a spine or some shit. But at the end of the day, is pretty much an eventuality, so she really has to fucking flop on her face in order for the Republicans to put up any sort of fight. But expecting Republicans to put up a fight is also like expecting the Supreme Court not to will itself more power. But with all of that said, I thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.